Thank you so much for joining me for this yoga session. Hopefully you're staying well and safe. You're taking care of yourself, and one way you do that is by doing yoga. You work your body, do the movement, the functional movement, so you stay healthy and open, gaining strength. Excuse me. All right. Well, let's get into this class. It's going to be relatively gentle, so make sure you've got things to support you, like as much room as a yoga mat. A yoga mat is helpful, but you don't need it. A blanket or two for cushion and support. I've also got a chair back here. We're going to do a little balance, and it is just a folding chair with no arms, and it does have a back. If you don't have a chair like that or similar, you can use another heavy, sturdy piece of furniture, or you can stand next to a wall. But it just helps with some balance stuff. And I'll show you also a stretch on the chair for your quad if you're ever looking for a way to maybe stretch the tops of your legs. So let's find that comfortable seat. Of course, if you want to lay down, that's always can be the way you start. Just make sure that you support yourself, you support your low back, maybe have that bolster underneath your knees or place blocks underneath your knees. Keep those knees just a little bit bent so that lower trunk is pulled into that place where it is not, it's not hurting, it's in a supported place. And if you're seated, you're finding that pelvis right underneath. So you're pulling that tail down, doing the same thing. You want to find that support in that low back. Let your eyes close and start to let your awareness come to your breath in and out. You're filling up your lungs on the inhale. You're releasing fully on the exhale. Letting yourself settle in, using this time to practice kindness, compassion, and love with yourself. If you don't typically practice that with yourself, here is a great time to practice it. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. You start to recognize it as the truth that it is. You're unhooking from all that's going on in the world, everything that you have planned for your future, all the stuff you think about it in your past, and you are setting it aside so you can be with your breath right here, right now. Let the lungs fill up on the inhale, release fully on the exhale. Use that breath to connect and to open. It's there for you. It's your life force. We take it for granted so much, but without the breath, we would not be here. So here is where you honor the breath, where you pay attention to the breath. The breath brings so much into our lives, not just the life force, but it just tells us so much about how we're feeling, especially if you feel your breath get really shallow, you're maybe excited. Tends to get deeper when you're relaxed. Notice what you can do, how you can change your breath, how you can change it, help it get deeper, fuller. You always have control over the breath. Let your hands make their way to your heart. If you started laying down, take time to come to seated because we're going to do our first few moves seated. Have your hands come to your heart. Still breathing full and deep. We're going to inhale, sweep up above the head. Exhale, pull right down into your heart center. Couple more times. Inhaling, exhaling, third time. And then start to move to unwind, especially if you've been seated for a little bit in that centering. Let your legs go back and forth and a little windshield wiper. You're still breathing full and deep. After a few windshield wipers, just find yourself seated on your mat. You've got your legs extended in front of you. Make sure that you have got a nice bend in your knee to help keep you lifted into that space up around you. If you're really leaning back, you can also roll up a blanket to help lift your hips a little bit. And we're just going to start with flexing the feet and pointing the feet. So you're just moving back and forth in this little flex and point. Inhale and exhale. And then after a few of the flex and points, letting those legs be out in front. So then turn the big toes and then try to bring the pinkies together. They may or may not touch, and then swing them out. And so you're moving at the ankle. Inhale and exhale, couple more. You might start to hear some pops and clicks as long as nothing hurts. All right, pause. Let your ankles turn to one direction. Doesn't matter which way you go. I think we go to our dominant side. So let them go around, and then you're going to pause, and then let them go the opposite direction. And then you're going to pause that movement. Make sure you feel comfortable that you are seated right there on your sitting bones. Let your left leg stay extended, and your right leg is just going to reach up into the air, and then you're going to pull that foot down to the ground, and then let that leg reach up. So you are bending at the knee, inhaling and exhaling. Try to feel both your glutes on the floor. And then you're going to bring that right leg out, bend that left knee. And of course, if that right leg, if it doesn't feel good to have it completely straight, you don't have to have it that way. And you're going to lower and lift. Don't even have to have your hands on your legs. It's just there as a guide. Couple more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. And then let yourself come back into that seated position, and let your legs be a little bit wider. So they don't have to be as wide as you can go. You just need to bring them into a little bit of a V. And then we'll start with the right again. You're just going to drop that leg. And it's not just the foot, right? It's the leg. I'm turning the whole leg. I'm not just moving the ankle. I am moving those toes to the inside by rotating the whole leg. And that's what you want to do. And then the next time that the toes are out and the heel is in, drag. And then rotate and drag. Rotate, drag. So you're rotating. And so you got to pick your leg up a little bit. And then find that right leg out in that place of support. And then you're just going to let that left leg rotate. So you're working that hip joint. Make sure that you're always protecting that knee. Inhaling and exhaling. And then let the toes be out. Drag, toes in, drag, toes out, drag, toes in, drag, toes out, drag. Beautiful. And then after a few, you're going to stop that movement and you're going to bend those knees and pull yourself up into your table position. And this is where using cushion for your knees can be helpful. So take a moment to have that cushion come underneath your knees so you feel nice and supported. Your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees right underneath your hips, and then start to move in that cat and cow, breathing full and deep, inhaling and exhaling. And then after a few of those, you're going to pause. Make sure you feel steady on your upper body and your legs, and you've got room behind you. Sending that right leg back, keep those hips square. You're going to inhale and come into that cat where you drop that belly. I'm sorry, that cow where you drop that belly, and then pull into that cat, pulling that knee towards your nose. So this is just a little curl in, gentle kick back. Stay lifted. Inhale and exhale. So your right leg is moving. You're not kicking anything behind you. And then you're going to bring that right leg down. Same thing, other side. Left leg comes out and you curl in. Inhaling and exhaling. And then pause, all limbs down. Let yourself lean to one side. So lean to the right, I don't know if you can really see that, and then lean to the left. Back and forth a couple times. Inhale and exhale. You can pause. Sometimes it feels good to get into that hip. Inhaling and exhaling. And then you're going to come back to seated. Now, I am going to just be on my knees. This might be too much. So if it is, come to your seat. And you're always the one that's in charge of how it feels in your body. We're going to start with those hands up, those arms shoulder height. Keep those shoulders out of your ears. Press through those heels. And then point those fingers down and up. So you're just doing basically that same thing that we did with the legs. Now you're doing it with the arms. Remember, we pointed and flexed the toes. Now you're pointing and flexing the fingers and the wrists. And then you're going to pause, bring the hands so the palms come up to the sky, and you bring the elbows close. Keep those shoulders out of your ears. If you can't bring your elbows together, don't worry about it. There's sometimes anatomy that gets in the way. You're hopefully can maybe get the pinkies together, and then you're going to open and close. Inhale and exhale. You're bringing those arms, those hands side to side, and then turn them to palms down, and same thing. And then you're going to make gentle wrists and try to keep the tops of your hands to the sky. I hear a lot of cracking in here. I love this. This is a joint fraying series that we're doing. So as long as nothing hurts, cracking is okay. At least I think so. Inhale and exhale. You're going both directions. All right, pause. Bring those arms down. Let those shoulders relax. Remember, you can choose to be in a different position if you need to change. I'm just going to shift so you can see I'm still holding my arms up shoulder height, and now I'm going to bring the hands to the shoulder as I open and close that elbow. Inhaling and exhaling. And then I'm going to pause with the hands on the elbows. Open up those elbows. I'm sorry, the hands on the shoulders. Open up those elbows and then curl in. So you are opening and closing there at the shoulder. You're feeling the blades come together, and then you're pulling them apart. Blades together when the elbows are apart. Blades pulled apart when the elbows come together. And then you're going to pause with that movement, keep the arms up, and now you're coming into that goal post position. This is a big stretch. So you only go as far as feels good as you keep those elbows bent, keep those arms out, those elbows as high as the shoulders, and then rotate at that shoulder joint. And then the last one in this kneeling, because we will come to seated from this, you're going to bring those arms up above your head, take an inhale and an exhale, pull them back behind you a few times. You're never straining elbows, you're never hurting anything, you're just moving at that shoulder joint. And then you're going to bring that movement to stillness, and definitely now we're coming onto your seat. So if you have been in that kneeling position, take time to come down to your seat. You're in charge of how close your legs are. You want to create a base for you. You are keeping your legs bent, and your hands can be anywhere on your legs to help you as you lift that heart and then curl in. So you are doing these seated cat and cows. You're arching your back, and an inhale, pulling that the chest forward, blades together. Exhale, blades apart. Curve in that C curve in your belly. Pull that navel in a couple more times. Seated. Try to have this not be too big of a move. Try to keep this move really kind of small and just within your body. And then pause. We're going to do that same thing. It's not a big move. A lot of times you'll see this move be really big, but I want you to keep this move pretty small. Hands come down to your side, and you're just going to pull down to one side. You're coming right to the side of you. Sometimes you see this move with the opposite arm coming up, but I want you just to feel yourself moving right here at your obliques, coming side to side. It's a subtle little move. And then you're going to pause and then pay attention to your spine, your back, and you're just going to gently turn in one direction. It's not a big move, and then come through center and then turn in the opposite direction. So it is a little spinal twist. It's all happening. I want you to feel this happen or start to happen from your spine. That's what's initiating the move. And then after a couple of those twists, you're going to pause. Make sure that you feel comfortable, always adjusting your seat if you need to. Now, keep yourself lifted. Let your chin lift as your head starts to come back, and then let the chin come down to the chest. So it's not, you're lifting, you're nodding your head, right? That's what you're doing. You're nodding your head, but it's not fast and it's not that big. And once again, try to feel it happening from within. It's not, just happening. You are making it happen from within your body a couple times up and down. And then you're going to pause with the gaze neutral, and you're going to let the right ear come to the right shoulder, left ear to left shoulder. This is another small move. It's not really big. You don't have to strain. You're just gently letting the head come side to side. And then you're going to pause, and you're going to keep the eyes neutral, or at a more neutral level, and then let your head move side to side. So now it's chin over shoulder, chin over shoulder. Try to keep this movement right in your neck. It's not a big movement. Couple more. Inhaling and exhaling, and then you're going to pause, and you're going to notice how you feel, breathing full and deep. Make sure that you've got something to drink, and you take breaks as you need to, filling up navel, ribs, chest, exhaling fully, chest, rib, navel, and then let yourself Come up onto those hands and knees again. Make sure you've got that cushion. If you like blocks too, you can always have them. It helps to just lift you up a little bit from the floor. Coming into that kneeling position, we're going to move through those cat and cows again. Breathing full and deep. And then pause, find that neutral position. So I think you can tell this sweatshirt's not too baggy. It's you want to keep your whole front body square to start with. This is where blocks sometimes come in handy. And you're pressing down. We're going to leave that right side down. Keep your navel pointing down towards the ground. Just rotate your chest to the left. Just reaching that left arm up into the air. Inhale and exhale. It doesn't have to come straight up above your head. You just, that shoulder's engaged. It might feel a little awkward. As long as it doesn't hurt, awkward is okay. Uncomfortable is okay. That means that you're getting into places that don't typically get something. They don't get that blood flow. Now, same thing, other side. So that left arm is staying connected. Start with everything square. Leave that lower girdle squared and just reach that right arm up. That shoulder stays connected. You're not hurting that wrist. Inhale and exhale. Breathing full and deep, and then back into that table, and then let yourself come back into a child. So you might want to walk your knees, your legs a little bit further apart. I love blocks for a child. It gives an extra stretch to the shoulder girdle. It may be too much for you. You might not like how your head is because you don't want it to dangle too much. You want to stay in control. Keep trying to lift your crown of your head away from your tail. Keep trying to press your tail away from the crown of your head. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. Keep those hip and shoulder girdles engaged. That is what helps you to stay lifted and to be in your body. You're going to come up to your knees. You're going to make sure you've got support. So if you want that chair to help you get up, make sure it's near you. Coming on to both feet and then letting yourself come up into that forward fold position, and then hands come right above those knees, and then you're going to press yourself up. Keep those knees really bent to come to standing, and then find that mountain pose. So this is where you come on 2 feet and you are pressing down into those balls and those heels, and you are engaging. You are lifting all your toes and you are spreading them wide, and then bringing them down for a gentle grip on the floor. They never really do that much work. Kneecaps up into thighs. Thighs plug right into that lower girdle. You are engaging framework and muscle. It takes a while to figure out what works for you, but you have to play around. It is a drop of the tail and a lift of the hip flexors right there below the navel and the dimples, and you are creating that solid base. And then navel dimples up. You are finding that lift and that reach. Lift your heart up out of that space. Pull those shoulders down out of your ears. So it's the same thing where the back body, the blades are pulled down for support, and then the front body, the heart is lifted for that reach, and then you are coming into your mountain pose. Inhaling and exhaling, receiving mountain right here, right now, pressing into the mat, lifting yourself up out of the mat, noticing how it feels. Inhale and exhale. And then, I'm trying to see, I've got something down. Oh, so standing, and make sure that you're comfortable in your stance. The best way for you to stand is for everything to be lined up. But if it's for whatever reason not comfortable due to injuries or things going on in your body, please manage that. But make sure you find that stability where you are engaging not just into your feet, but into that lower girdle where you're dropping the lower You're dropping the back and lifting the front for that base. Same thing with the upper body and keeping those shoulder girdles engaged. Reach those arms up and then bring them into that prayer position in front of your heart. Staying with that stance, let your fingers curl, never strain anything. You're going to keep those palms together and then let them come apart. As you press them away, don't strain any elbows or wrists or fingers as you bring them up over your head and then back behind your head, and then gently pull in and then lift up and then press up and then come back out and then pull in. And then we're just going to do that same thing a couple more times. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. Don't strain your digits. Don't strain your wrists. Don't strain your elbows. So don't be clasping too much. It's a light clasp. Inhale and exhale. And the next time you find those hands in front of your heart, you can pause with them at your heart in that prayer position, or have your hands down at your sides, breathing full and deep. And then here's where you might want to have that chair just in that place somewhere near you, so you've got it to the side, and then finding that mountain pose. Your hands can be at your hips or you can lift them above your head, but if it does not feel good on your shoulders, you don't have to. It's just an option. So starting pressing evenly down, you're going to have those hands be on your shoulders and you're going to tilt to the right. The chair's there if you want to lift and pull yourself gently to the right. You totally have that option. Try to keep your shoulders engaged. And this is where you make that choice. Like, yeah, maybe I do want to lift that arm up because, yeah, that feels really good. Inhale and exhale. You always do you. If it doesn't feel good, bring that hand to where it does. And then you're going to lift yourself up to that upright position. Notice how you feel. Take a moment, either move the chair or you move around the chair. Same thing. You're not right up and next to the chair. You want to make sure that you've got a little bit of room. You're pressing evenly down and you're lifting yourself and then coming towards the left now, and then you can make your mind up with that arm. It might not feel good to do that, so you leave it down. It doesn't have to look the same on either side. Lift, coming into that mountain position, inhaling and exhaling, breathing full and deep. Now, this next one, we're going to move, and this is where I definitely want you to have that chair on your left side if you need it. So we'll start with the chair, the back of the chair on the left side. You're going to be on those balls and heels. I want you to come back and forth, balls and heels, not really the toes. The toes maybe get a little bit, but you're really looking for the balls. I don't want you to strain your toes. Keep those kneecaps pulled up. And so first, balls and heels down, just lift that right arm up and then let it float down. One more time, lift, keeping your feet down on the ground and then float down. And if it doesn't feel good to have your arm move, of course you do not have to. Next time you come up to the balls, mostly the balls, a little bit of the toes, but mostly the balls. And then come back down to heels. You're lowering and lifting. Inhale and exhale. Remember, if you don't like to do the arm, you don't have to. And if you want to practice your balance, right, here's where you can do both. But if it doesn't really feel good, if you're too wobbly, just keep that right or that left arm down. And then you're going to pause. Notice how you feel. Come around your chair or move your chair, whatever works for you. Do the same thing. Even if you lifted both your arms, start with just that left side. Inhaling and exhaling, lowering and lifting. Make sure you're on those balls and heels. And the next time you lift that arm, come up onto mostly the balls, a little bit of the toes. Inhale and exhale. And remember, if you want to practice the balance, this is called palm tree. All right, you're going to pause, hands at your heart, your belly, one of each, out to the side. Notice how you feel. Breathing full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. This is where you want to make sure you've got the chair near you. And we're going to do dancer. So I'm going to face the chair, and I've got my right hand right in front. I'm going to bend my left knee, and I'm going to reach for that left ankle. I'm not straining anything. I'm trying to keep my knees together, so pay attention to where that left knee is and try to keep them in the same plane. Pay attention to the shoulder. Try not to strain it. You can also bring the hand on the inside of the leg. Breathing full and deep. I'll come and face this way so you see. Inhale and exhale. And then you're going to let that left foot go. Make sure you've got that support. Same thing. And you don't have to face the chair. You can see how you can do it. Right there. You're not straining anything. I was also going to show you if you're ever seated in the chair. And the chair can be tricky depending on how tall you are and how much. Here is that same pose seated in the chair. So I've basically got just my left butt cheek on the chair, and then my right butt cheek. Well, I guess my right butt cheek is on the chair, but it's not putting any pressure. Inhale, exhale. You can do all kinds of stretches. I've got my arm wrapped around that back. So make sure you do both sides of that dancer, inhaling and exhaling, and then let your chair be moved out of the way so you can be at the back of your space to walk down. And here's where, if you want to hang out in a downward dog for 2 to 3 breaths, please do. So you let those hands and feet walk away from each other. Keep lifting your butt up into the air, and then come down to your knees to rest in that child again, breathing full and deep. Make sure that you are drinking water, taking breaks as you need it. Inhaling and exhaling. Stay with your breath, with your body, how you feel. And then try to make sure these are out of the way. You're going to let yourself come forward onto your belly. And here's where you're going to first bend those knees, windshield wiper, rest your head. Inhale and exhale, breathing full and deep. So you can have one cheek rested down. You can just be resting your chin on your hands. Let those knees be in that windshield wiper. Move for a couple more breaths, and then let them extend. Those legs extend behind you. And then bring yourself into that Sphinx position, elbows underneath those shoulders, and your elbows are only as wide as your shoulders. Try to keep everything tucked in. Let your lower trunk be heavy as you gently pull that chest. So feel that chest through those biceps. Feel that stretch down your front. Inhale and exhale. And then let yourself lift a little bit. Pull those elbows wide and let yourself lengthen down to the mat all the way, letting one cheek come down. And of course, if you want to bend the knees and windshield wiper, or you just want to wiggle, or if you just want to be in stillness. And then now bring those hands so they're right underneath those shoulders. Make sure those legs feel heavy behind you. Keep those shoulders pulled out of your ears. You're going to inhale, lift. So have your face look down, lift, and then lift, then lower down. Bring your right ear to the ground, and then inhale, lift, crown towards the wall, and then lengthen down, left ear. So you're lowering and lifting and gently twisting the neck side to side. And then I want you to pause with that with your face down towards the ground, and this time when you lift up, look over your shoulder and then bring your face almost to touch the mat, and then lift and look over the opposite shoulder. Remember to keep that lower body really heavy. It is your base. Couple more. And then you're going to pause, let those arms come out from underneath you and let them be wherever feels comfortable. Bend those knees, windshield wiper. And then bring those arms so they're right by your sides, and you can turn and look towards the left. So your right ear is on the ground, and this is just to help with this direction. Bend that left knee and pull it up towards your left elbow. So you're laying in this position, like imagine you're, I don't know if you sleep this way on your stomach. Inhale and exhale. Take a couple more breaths. Now, only if it feels good to you, do you reach that right arm in front and then roll onto that right side. Leave that left knee down and open up that left arm. Now, if this hurts your low back, try to bring the stretch and the twist more into your middle back. Try to keep your low back pretty stable. If this hurts your arm, keep that shoulder socket definitely engaged. Of course, you don't have to lift the arm. And then if your head doesn't have anywhere to go, just gently rest it on that bicep. And then if you've got that arm in the air or anywhere else, you're going to bring it back. Lengthen that left leg back down the mat. Bring that right arm in and let yourself reset however feels good. And now you are once again bringing those hands so they are out to the side. They're not too close. It's almost like they're goalposts. And then you're going to bend that right knee and pull it up. So now you can't really see, but you can see how I pulled that right knee up. Inhale and exhale. This is where you decide, do I like that stretch where I lengthen that left side? Keep that right side really heavy and then let that left arm come up. You might not twist very much open. That's okay. Inhale and exhale. Bring that arm back down. Let that leg extend. Bring those hands underneath those shoulders and press yourself up. Move through a few cat and cows. It feels really good, I think, to do a couple cat and cows after we've been on that prone position. And then find yourself either resting down in child and then coming to your back, or just coming around onto your seat and then coming on to your back. I'm going to get a little quick drink of water. And when you get to your back, rock, circle, do whatever feels good. Keep those glutes really heavy. As you move, first just letting your whole self try to get deeper into the mat. Keep trying to feel your whole rib cage on the mat, all the way from the top down to the bottom. Keep trying to spread those ribs out. That takes a lot of awareness, and once you get that awareness to bring that rib cage down, it really does help with your alignment. Only lifting those feet and circling and rocking, if you can keep those glutes really heavy. If you don't keep those glutes heavy, this tends to hurt the low back, and I do not want you to hurt your low back. Inhale and exhale. Find stillness, bringing those feet flat to the floor, knees bent. They are active. They're not pulling, they're not touching, but they're not falling out. So they are very much active, and they're parallel to each other. Hands down by your side, and imagine there is a clock on that lower trunk right there between your navel and your pubic bone. Your navel is 12, your pubic bone is 6, and then your 9 and 3 are your hip flexors, right where your leg comes into your trunk, and you are trying to find that place where that clock is even and in that same plane. And I have to really pull my tail down and then pull those hip flexors up, and I have to have my legs active to do that. And it might feel a little bit different to you than what I explained, but try to find that place of engagement. It just helps with that support. And then you're going to keep those legs active, lower and lift a few times in that very gentle bridge. Keep trying to pull that tail down towards your back of your legs. And then you're going to keep that tail down, and you're going to reset with the rock, the circle, the windshield wiper, whatever feels good. We're going to come into pigeon on our back. This is a great place for a block. If you want just a little help, a little bit of support from the floor, it just helps to add a little bit. So keep those glutes heavy. Start with those feet on the ground. If you want to bring that right foot on top of that block, and then bring that left ankle on top of that right knee, you are actively pressing through your heels. You're actively pressing your glutes. You're trying to spread your whole self out as wide as you can. Inhale and exhale. If you want to lift that right foot up off the ground and then reach through that opening with your left arm and then gently clasp behind that right thigh, go for it. But if you reach up, make sure that you come back down. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath. And then if you did lift that right foot off the ground, you've got that right leg clasped, then gently let it go. Bring that right leg down. Bring that left leg down. Take a couple breaths in between. Notice how you feel. If you want the block to come to the left side, take a moment to move it. And then you are coming into your pigeon posture on the opposite side. All those same things. Press. So you press through the glute all the way down to the heel. Try to find that line of energy. Only lifting that left foot off the ground if you want to bring your hands behind that left leg. If you do bring your hands behind that left leg, you're being very, very gentle. There's a lot of delicate tendons back there, and you do not want to hurt yourself. All right, eventually you're going to let that go. You're going to bring everything down. You're going to reset with a rock, circle, windshield wiper. Keep those knees bent, arms out in a T position, and then let the knees go to whatever side feels comfortable. Inhale and exhale. Try to keep both shoulder blades connected. Try to feel all your back of your rib cage on the ground. Let those knees come through center. Same thing, other side. Breathing full and deep. After you move around and do whatever else feels good to you, take your time to do that. Let yourself come into relaxation, letting yourself settle in on your back if that is comfortable for you. Finding that time to reset. I'm going to sit in meditation. I'm going to have a little drink. Letting yourself just be with your breath right here, right now. into your breath. Start to let your body move, waking up from that relaxation position, little twitch of the fingers and the toes, that gentle circling of the wrists and ankles, and the bend of the knees and elbows. And then if it feels good to you, hug in and rock and circle. And then let yourself come to rest on one side in that fetal-like position, that very first position you were ever in. Reconnect to your breath. Stay with your breath. Pay attention to that place behind your navel and be grateful to yourself for being born and grateful to yourself for doing yoga. And then press yourself up into that upright position, taking time to find that seat. Your hands can come to your heart. And together we say, Namaste. Thank you all so much. Please enjoy, stay safe, be well, take care.